Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm Bob DeMarco. Coming up, we're going to take a look at my very first Spanish Navaja. We're going to look at the Fred Perrin Ladakh, and we're going to talk about other tools for self-defense besides gun and knife. And that's going to play into one little thing I have to talk about up front that we'll get to. Called "No, It's Not a Marital Aid." This is something that I made that would be awesome for self-defense. I got it from a British dude I follow on YouTube, who's a very tough guy, and he carries these little palm sticks around with him, these little wood things, and beats the crap out of people with them, or could if he needs to. Practices anyway. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. So how you guys doing tonight? Thursday Night Knives. I have a whole bunch of stuff out here. Have a nice day. Nice to have you here. Hey, Junkalos. Woo woo. I have a whole bunch of stuff out here, as always. I have fewer folders. Trent Costello, I got a lot of fixed blades out tonight, buddy. How you doing, sir? Oh, man, I was going to finally catch a live one, and it's about a big old survival knife, like maybe Falkniven Modern Bowie or Medford USMC Classic. I'd love to. Well, maybe next year. No, I got this one, and you know what I've been really digging on the big knife front? Now, maybe this is a little too old school for you, but this is Italian, and I'm Italian. The Cinquedilla with the 13-inch giant blade. I love this thing, and it's got the weight and balance of sort of a sword. Well, I don't want to say it's got the weight of a sword, but it's Ground Fog. Good to have you here, sir. We got Ground Fog with us, but it has that sort of balance with the heavy pommel, and it moves around really nicely. Trent, you might like this one. I know you like the big knives, and it's got a pretty nice sheath. The only problem is Jay Demeter, nice to have you here, sir. I know. Hide behind the misses. Nice. The sheath is a little bit curved. I just want to hit it with the heat gun and kind of get it to straighten out. It's leather. I have a feeling the stitching made it curve a little bit, but overall, a very nice knife, especially for the relatively low cost. Marco, nice to have you here, Marco. He says, evening, Knife Junkies. Evening to you, sir. We have Dave with us, OG Blade Reviews. Evening, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. For other than gun and knife, I always carry a third-hand ringed pocket stick. Oh, by Volpe's Training. He makes some really cool stuff. He just came out with some short batons and new pocket stick effective. That's exactly what I'm talking about, and that's the kind of thing I want to get more of. Oh, and these are cool too. Asp telescopic batons are also very effective where legal. Yeah, just ask Nancy Kerrigan. Not to make light of a very old story. Doug Boal, nice to have you here, Doug. Doug sent me a knife I'm going to show off in a short while. Hello, Bob, and all you who carry the blade. Doug, it's really good to have you here, sir. I have two Nightcore 4-inch 1200 lumen flashlights, one in my home, the other concealed in a nylon holster to blind that person so you don't have to cut that person or shoot that person if possible. That's a great way to go. Sword XXXY, good to have you here, sir. Good day, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. I often have a stout walking stick. Being older, it has its advantages. Sword, would you ever consider a sword cane, or would that be streng verboten in Australia? I have a feeling it is, but a stout walking stick, nothing like it. Reverend Jim Lander, good to have you here. Howdy, YF Junkies. Well, it's good to have you here. Howdy, felly junkies. It's grand to be. It's great to have you here too. Howdy, fellow junkies. It's grand to be among you tonight. And you, the grand poobah of junkies, the grand poobah. The last time I heard that was the Flintstones. Grand poobah junkies, along with Jim. Salutations. Well, salutations to you, sir. It's great to have you here. If you use a gun, the issue requires no other devices except maybe a lawyer. Yes, U.S. Shield. This is when I get them as a sponsor, this is where I would drop in. Just go to U.S. Shield. Make sure that you protect yourself while you're protecting yourself. Angry Tom's Hat Next Door. Good to have you here, sir. Hey, guys, he says. Well, hey to you. And I forgot to mention, I'm giving this away tonight. I have so many knives. I'm sharing the wealth, and so many of them came from Dave, OG Blade Reviews. Tonight, I'm giving away one that was given to me actually by Civivi and Sencut, and it's a beautiful one. It's got to me, it looks like a foreshortened 940 blade, Benchmade 940 blade. To me, it's like a better version of the 940. I really like this knife. It's a nice little chode knife. If you ever watch Frankie and Bird, you know what I mean. I like the lightning holes. It's definitely good for manipulation, turning it around. And look at this. This is a Civivi brass Civivi bead on one of their lanyards. That came in the package. It's a separate thing. I think that's a $12. I think that cost $12. So anyway, put that on there. It looks really nice. If you're not a lanyard person, you can always put it on your keys or give it to someone else or do whatever you want with it. But this could be yours if you put #knife in the comments. That's it. #knife. And then I go and I pirate ship it to you. And it's like nothing. And if I had to sponsor in pirate ship, that's where I would drop the ad in right there. But since I don't have it, I'm not going to read it or even make it up as I go. So here it is. It's the Sencut. What's this one called? Excalus. All things considered, a pretty cool name. And that's a Civivi lanyard. So I will periodically be picking this up and showing it back off because this could be yours for the cost of nothing. For the cost of the calories it costs to type in #knife in the comments below. Have a Knife Day says, this leads to one's imagination. This leads to one's imagination as to what to use for self-defense. Chopsticks, anything handy. Hornet, wasp spray, or a fire extinguisher pocket. Dirt to the eyes, definitely. Change is very good to throw in someone's face. A lot of people don't carry cash or change anymore, myself included, but change used to be something we would train with at one of my martial arts schools in a sort of street self-defense class. Throw the change in their eyes and then, kick their knees and their balls and all that stuff. E-tool for the military-minded. E-tool. Hang on one sec. Chopsticks. Station 9. Station 9. They come up with all these cool implements, this and the little OSS dagger and the partisan knife over here, which I have over there. But Station 9, they have a pair of G10 chopsticks that are pointy that you could totally use for self-defense. That's the whole point. You bring it on the airplane with you. It just looks like G10. It just looks like chopsticks, and it even has like sort of a Chinese looking, like old school Chinese restaurant looking paper package that it comes in, and you just bring it with you on the plane. And, I'd just like to eat with my own chopsticks. But then if you need to, you use it. And wouldn't that be cool to report on the news? Like, yes, I took out the terrorist with a chopstick. With two. Oh, well, with two. He had two chopsticks. Jay Sheehan, nice to have you here, Jay. I have I have 250 to spend. Oh man, what are some good self-defense fighting fixed blade carry options? Okay, anything from T-Kel knives, anything from sorry, I just have a house of cards here of knives. Let me put this away. This is very cool. This is the Doug Boal Cortada, the larger one. I wish I had the small one too, but very, very, very pleased to have this one. I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I know a lot of people, myself included, before I got this, won it in an auction. Was like, I will never have one of those. So very pleased with that. Okay. 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 So Jay, I am totally steering you in the direction of custom or very small American production fixed blade knives. So here are a couple of great options. Now, not necessarily this knife, but a Dirk Pinkerton fixed blade, custom handmade fixed blade. Dirk Pinkerton has tons of folding designs out there, a couple of fixed blade designs too, with all the companies we know and love like Kaiser Concept, etc. But he also hand makes knives, and he does an incredible job and is very well respected among his peers for his ability with the grinder. And his fixed blade knives are reasonably affordable if you have $250 to spend. Now, this one cost me more than that, but I have a number of other smaller ones, none of which I brought out tonight, that were around that. So I would definitely think of Dirk Pinkerton, and he's very self-defense minded. His designs are self-defense first, and then also usually veer very well into the self-defense. I mean, into the everyday useful. And I'm talking about his more tactical fixed blades. This one is double-edged all the way. This is an awesome one. I know Dave has one of these, more of a bayonet grind on his. And I know he also has a massive collection of him. Also, T-Kel knives. Many of their knives can be had for that. Here's a for instance. This is one that I co-designed with Tim Kell. I came to Tim with a design much like this. He and I worked on the design, and this was released at Blade Show to great aplomb. A lot of people love this. I carry it all the time. Tim Kell and T-Kel Knives makes outstanding self-defense knives, and a number of different designs. Here's the one that really got me hooked and started, and here's the one that I designed this after. And I didn't design this after this, but the same carry profile, same length dimensions, because I carried this all the time. And I love double-edged fighters like the like the Loveless fighter and that kind of thing. And so I wanted that, came to him with the design. He liked it. We tweaked it. He tweaked the handle, made it, just perfected that handle. This thing is awesome, but he's also got a number of different great designs. By the way, here's the one that he did with Jared Neve, the Felon, the FLN. Sorry. I carry this. I just started carrying this a lot because I just figured out how I like to carry it. And that's with no clip. I drop this in the pocket, oriented like this. Say I'm looking down and my crotch is here. It's in my right pocket like this. When you pull it out, you can use the jimping on the back of the handle to dislodge the sheath, boom, and bring the knife into your hand. And it doesn't print hardly at all. You don't have clips and stuff showing. So T-Kel Knives has amazing offerings. I would definitely look there. And then, of course, I mean, there are many others, and I will keep showing off knives, and I will let you know what they cost. But that's a great place to start. Those two places, Dirk Pinkerton, T-Kel Knives, Hogtooth Knives, lots of great companies. So check those guys out first. Have a Knife Day says, just leaving the gym right now. Better later than never. That's awesome, man. Have a Knife Day could twist probably most of us into a pretzel. He is a strong person, to be sure. Strong man, to be sure. Have a Knife Day says, I also have a cane. No sword cane for California. I hear that. Cane is so cool. The French have that lacan, and I know that bartitsu, which is that sort of British turn of the century martial art that they used in the Sherlock Holmes movies. I know that does a lot of cane fighting, a lot of cool cane fighting scenes in the Kingsman movies. If you have a really stout umbrella, I thought it'd be cool. Always thought it would be cool to have a really stout umbrella, and then have it, you open it up and it's Kevlar, so it's bulletproof, but also it's really strong, so you can use the hook and hook people and pull them with it, but you could also dislodge it and have a sword. So best of all worlds. We'll see. I guess that's just a James Bond umbrella. Craig Vincent, nice to have you here, Craig. Evening, average junkie Joes. Well, it's good to have you. Well, that's the kind of junkie I'd like to share a beer with. Okay. Doug Boal says, Bob, great St. Michael the Archangel shirt. He is the patron saint for peace officers. And I pray I say the St. Michael prayer at least twice a day. It's part of my battery, and it is what gives me strength. I love that. My girls and my wife gave that to me for my birthday, I believe, this year. Sword XXXY says, sword sticks are majority illegal to import and carry here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I know you have some pretty strict laws in Australia. I remember thinking originally, like, oh, Australia, everyone walks around with a giant Bowie knife. And we all know where I got that impression. And please do not say that line. I never, ever, if I never hear that line again, it'll be too soon. Weld and Carey. Hello, sir. Good to have you here. Hello. Have you made armor? And the only reason I say that is I see weld and then I see the armor. So I'm like, that'd be cool. Tactical, but I guess that's more forged out. But maybe pieces are welded together. I don't know. Tactical Yama EDC says good evening. Well, good evening to you, sir. A lot of Yama stuff or motif around the house here in little things you see here and there as part of the family here is Bolivian. Jay Demeter, nice to see you here, Jay. A magazine rolled up works great. Here. I've done a lot of training with the rolled up magazine, and I have one at work that's duct taped permanently, and that's part of my legal panoply there. And yes, rolled up magazine. But you go to get on a plane, feel weird, take out that magazine, you roll it up. Those pages, when they're rolled up, those pages hurt like hell. And I've had them like gouged into my shoulders and my arms, and I've and you can really hurt someone. I don't know if you could break bone, but you can really hurt someone if you hit them hard with that, like a collie stick. So yeah, do not take it. It's not just like for movies. It's not just for Jason Bourne. It's real. Don't forget, you can roll up a magazine, and it doesn't have to be tape shoved. It doesn't have to be rubber banded. You can just use the strength of your hand. Kilkenny, nice to have you here. Kilkenny, pocket sand. I like that. You're going to load up the pocket with sand. I like that. And walk around with sand in your pocket. Pretty good. I want a sap. I was just researching saps today on Instagram because when I was at the Texas Custom Knife Show, I saw some really cool saps at this one table. And I was like, I'm going to come back and get that sap. And I never did. And I've always wanted one. And so yeah, if anyone has a good bead on a quality leather sap, let me know. Tactical Yama says cell phones used to have built-in theft deterrent. Could throw a Nokia 3310 at a mob of people and still pick it up and make calls for 2 weeks before charging it. Now you drop your phone and it breaks. No kidding. Well, you could use an iPhone. But everyone's so touchy about their phones. It'd be kind of like not counterintuitive, but your body might stop you from doing it. Maybe not. Weldon Carey says, I just won a giveaway from TKL Knives. It was a striker. Oh my God, I want a striker. Awesome knife. That is so cool, Weldon Carey. What an awesome thing to win. Now, I'm assuming if you were there, you have probably some others. Do you have the FLN? This is a great karambit. I really like this. I do not have giant hands, but it would accommodate giant hands, but it really fits my medium hand nicely. And it's just great to flip around, and it just feels totally secure. You don't have to do anything with your hand to alter your fist to use it. I'm curious if you have the FLN. Nice job on designing, Jared Neve, on that one. Lady Picture Show 72. Good to have you here, lady. I just got a Sever from Ironside Edgeworks. Walnut handle, love walnut. Brass pin. Oh, that's nice. Brass pins, gun blued DE blade, double edged blade, a work of art. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm gonna write this down. I know I follow Ironside Edgeworks. The Sever. Sorry, gotta do it. And I got so many notes on my laptop now. I gotta write it on paper. I'm gonna write this one down. The Sever from Ironside. Okay. Well, I know that they make some really cool stuff. Don't they do the Pikal also? I think Ironside. And I get him and Windy Raven kind of mixed up in my mind. Craig Vincent says, what's more important when designing a self-defense knife, slicey or pokey? asking for a friend. I would say pokey personally. Both are necessary. Here's the thing, like, okay, so let's look at extremes. You have, first of all, something like this. You have a dagger. So this is all pokey. I mean, of course, this has belly and hollow ground edges. You could definitely slash with this and do pretty well, but this is definitely a poking implement. And then you have, oh, I'll use this, but I was really thinking of the black talon from Cold Steel, something that is definitely meant for slashing, something that'll accelerate the cut like a recurve or a hawkbill, something like this. They're both really nasty, and obviously, all right, we'll get that part out of the way. And something like this you could thrust with and stab, but it's really optimized for slashing. Something like this, you can slash, but it's really optimized for stabbing. So the question is, for self-defense, like, is slashing enough? Theoretically, if you're talking about like, well, apparently thrusting is less in human nature to stab than it is to slash. Hashtag knife if you want this. Hashtag knife if you want this. Free of charge, sent to you. So I think ultimately, like, if we're thinking about ending the threat completely, I would say pokey. If you want to cause a huge mess and lots of shock, definitely slashy. I don't know. What do you guys think? I guess a combination of both is best. Like the Vaquero, you got that crazy recurve, but you still have a very good thrusting point going right down the center line. So it's not, you don't have to do anything weird. You know exactly where that is. Doug Boal says, Bob, years ago when sap gloves were used, the lead load was in the palm of the leather glove, designed for slapping. Oh man, due to injuries, police departments and gloves. Oh wait, due to injuries, PDs, the gloves were forbidden. Yeah. Oh my God. For slapping. So you have a whole bunch of lead here, and he's whack. Where were you on the 28th? Whack. I swear I was right here. Just ask the people on Thursday night. Knives. And I don't mean to make light of it, but I love the movie LA Confidential. And there's a great scene where Bud is interrogating someone, and he's like, he's old school brawny. You know, he's not all defined and everything. He's just like this big brawny guy. He's in a tank top, just beating up this guy in a chair in some lonely hotel somewhere. And every time I've seen that, I'm like, God, that guy has no hope. Like, no one's ever going to hear or see. Mark Salva, good to have you here, Mark. Good evening, gentlemen. Well, good evening to you, sir. So yeah, sap gloves, interesting. What about a leather sap? You know, with the lobe out here, you know, whack on the back of that. It's like chloroform. I want sap in a chloroform, like all the old school thug things. Maybe an ice pick too. Mr. Greg T, good to have you here, Mr. Greg T. What's up, Bobby D? Well, what's up with you, sir? Tactical Yama says all depends on culture of origin. At Craig Vincent, the karambit is meant for filleting, where a trench knife would be a great stabber, says a friend. yeah, karambits. And you know what, I gotta say, I can't believe we didn't mention, well, there are two other things we didn't mention. Push daggers, which are, you know, really great at self-defense. Small, there are a bunch of really great and affordable ones from Cold Steel that you can try out of different sizes. They make a whole number of them. Let's see. Hang on one sec, and I'll get to Dave in one other second. But the other thing that I failed to mention, foolish me, is the Bacall style knife. This, of course, is the DC Knives, DC Blades designed. DC Blades is tier 1, and another designer, Justin from Tier 1 Gear Reviews. And this is made by Shieldon. Beautiful XL contoured tie frame lock. Pikal, and Pikal with the tip down and the edge in is very, very self-defensey, let's say. It mimics the motion and the action of a cat's claw, if you will. People say that about the karambit, but the karambit's a little bit different. Cats don't do this; they do this. So it's different. They're both effective. I in my personal opinion believe that a karambit requires more training, but there are a lot of different. So the curved is great, and the Pikal to me is a very magical mean, or what do you want to say? It's a nice balance between stabby and slashy. So Dave says the TKL Felon is FLN. I gotta stop calling it the Felon. The TKL FLN is also extremely effective in the ringless version as a hawkbill point up. Yes. So it looks like this. Literally. Literally. It's just like that. And it's extremely comfortable. And you get that third finger kind of as the fourth finger, your pinky, as sort of a buttress down there. This is one of the few knives I like with my pinky through the ring in the forward position. Usually I just use the ring as a pommel, and actually in this case it's equally comfortable in both cases. Dwayne Letterman, nice to have you here, sir. Evening, Bob, Jim, Joseph, Marco, Weld, Yama, Craig, Fogg, Tom, OG, calling everyone out, man. Nice to have you here, Dwayne, as always. What did you have up there before Dwayne's comment? Have a Knife Day says, I'm going to show the Natchez this September. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to a show in Natchez this September. Awesome. We know Natchez is where that sandbar fight happened, right? The sandbar fight. Craig T said, Mr. Craig T says, Bobby wants a penguin umbrella. Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Right. That's right. I knew I'd seen that somewhere. The penguin has all of that. He also has a gun in his, doesn't he? Am I not allowed to say gun on YouTube? Do I have to say pew pew, or is that if you're just giant and talk about politics? I do not talk about politics here because I think we all here have very similar, values, and doesn't matter about your politics. Weldon Carey says, I don't forge, LOL, just collect knives. Post them and weld, LOL. Got you. Yeah, me too. But I do want to make them in the future. This is a knife I got from my wife at Blade Show this year. This is the Auxiliary Manufacturing. What is this called? It's a little, as you can see, it's a little neck knife push dagger, and she just kind of wasn't crazy about it. Maybe I have to re-give it to her, but I was like, let me fix the sheath. The sheath was really stout. And I totally get it because you don't want it falling out. But I never quite returned it to her. So now I have to see if she wants it again. Steve, how's it going? Steve Roberts. Stephen Roberts says, I've seen some crazy quote unquote tools in fights. I bet you have. Slapjacks, and that's what I've been talking about. Brass knuckles, beer bottles, lit cigarettes to the face, and thankfully never a knife. The beer bottles thing is interesting. I've had a number of seminars with Paul Vunak. Paul Vunak, he was one of, he's a big Jeet Kune Do guy, one of Dan Inosanto's biggest students. He developed the RAT method, rapid assault tactics, that got taught to a lot of different law enforcement and SEAL Team 6 for a time, and he's very, very famous for his nasty fighting style. And why did I bring up Vunak? I'm sorry, Jim. Can you go back 2 comments? I just distracted myself. Some crazy tools. Right. The beer bottles. Thanks, Steve. The beer bottles. He teaches in his course, some courses. He just kind of talked about it, but in some courses, because he teaches in parks in California, because most people won't have them, I don't think, but he'll show you how to break bottles when they're empty, how to break bottles when they're half full, and how to break bottles when they're full, because you get different results, and it depends on the kind of weapon you want out of a bottle. And I always thought, so much better to learn from someone who's been through all that and figured it out than to be the guy who's been through all that and figured it out. Have a Knife Day says, belt with buckle as a flail. Yes, sir. every day, every time I put on my belt, I think about that. And I also think about the scene in The Accountant, great scene where Ben Affleck killed the hitman that you see in every one of these movies. We've seen him in all of the movies, including John Wick. He was in the first one, the bald dude with the handlebar mustache. He kills that guy in that. I love that scene. Great. Toyotas and Tools says, first of all, good to have you here, Toyotas and Tools. They used to use saps and blackjacks in wrestling as a foreign object. No kidding. Damn. Ant of Egypt. Good to have you here, Ant. Greetings, fellow blade folk. Greetings to you, sir. Carrying Nkosi with black micarta inlays this evening, Bob. Which person from history would you choose to have as an imaginary friend, and why? I mean, okay, there's some. Okay, all right. Let's count out. I mean, Jesus Christ would definitely be way up there. Pablo Picasso would be up there. Uh, um, but I don't want to pick either of those. I have someone else. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Ant of Egypt. I like this question, and we're gonna get to a pocket check. And let me think about this. OG Blades. In the Philippines, they cook a mix of sand and pepper they carry in the pocket. Oh my God. Sand and pepper. That is brutal. Can you imagine having that coming in, getting thrown into your eyes? How terrible. Ray Herman, nice to have you here, Ray. Alexander the Great. It would have been cool. Like if you were close friends with Alexander the Great, of course, it also might have been like horrible actually, but still you would have seen a lot of the world. Ray Herman says, how about the cold steel whip cane? I'm thinking about getting one. Yeah, that is cool. So that the whip cane is basically the what do you call it? It's basically the heavy duty sword cane, which I have. It's a thin and not thin. It's a thick pipe, and it's like a bull barrel. It doesn't taper at all. And then on mine, it's got the sword that goes all the way in there. In this whip cane, it's like this nasty bit of braided cable that goes down in there. You pull it out, it's all pressure fit with O-rings. Whack. And oh my God, that would be horrible. They also sell that Sam Jock, that South African whip. Also a nasty impact weapon. Weldon Carey says, it was my first decal knife, but I'm definitely going to look at more now. Oh, yes, sir. I highly recommend, of course, the Agent 001. I would be remiss if I didn't push this at every occasion here, but also I highly recommend the Night Stalker. This one here, so good. And you know what? This knife, the Night Stalker, totally resuscitated my love of ringed knives. I really got off them for a while. But I really like the ring on this one. It fits very naturally in my hand. It also aids amazingly in the drawing of the blade. And I like to carry this horizontally as I do this horizontally on the front, right on the front where my belt buckle is. I just slide my belt buckle over to the side, mount this directly on the front. Same thing with this. Sometimes I do it in the waistband if I'm wearing my swimsuit. But yeah, TKL, awesome. 5-door, good to have you here. 5-door. Greetings, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. I often carry a pry bar or a micro pick. Oh, micro dick. Okay. And I assume you mean micro dick pick. And that's sorry. I got all these sheaths out here, and I have all these razor sharp knives. Let me get them properly stowed. Okay. Dick pick. Oh my goodness. Why didn't someone tell me I have all this stuff in my teeth here? Here it is. Those were probably not two good sentences to put together. Oh man, I take all of that back. Just cancel 3 times. And that was 2 I put up. Toyotas and Tools says Eck Knives usually has a sap, or 2 in stock from Chattanooga leather. I love Chattanooga leather. As a matter of fact, here, since I have my dagger out here, this is Chattanooga leather right here. That's what I have the Spartan dagger in. I'm going to put it, this is the Spartan Harzy dagger. putting it back in there, clearing up, tidying up. But okay, that is really good news. I will check it out. So Eck Chattanooga leather. Okay, Eck K-Bar. I know that K-Bar has some sort of association. Interesting. They're all kind of connected, and I like it. Toyotas and tools. Oh, by the way, here's my large size dick pic. This is what he's talking about. This is a great extra tool for self-defense. Toyotas and Tools says, I believe I finally scored something from my grail list tonight. A super Elvia. Awesome, man. Excuse me. I love the Elvia in all of its forms, whether it's the whatever. I love the Emerson Elvia. I would love to get the waved Elvia. I can't believe they didn't make it waved right off the bat. I felt like a little cheated. I felt like that's a marketing scam so that eventually they can release it with the Elvia, with the wave. Of course, it needs a wave. Of course, of all knives, that knife needs a wave because it's about, killing people that are like attacking you. That's what that knife is for. It's for people who are attacking you. So of course you want a wave on that. I felt like that was being coy. Oh, really? A wave on this? Really? Come on. All that said, all due respect to Ernest Emerson, who I think is the man. Stephen Clayton, another the man. Good to see you here. I hope you and the big J man are doing well. Crudo Knives SD5 and oh, okay. I thought this was your pocket check. I was going to say, what's wrong, Stephen? Do we have to talk offline? You only have 2 knives here. Crudo Knives SD5 and Remnant Alliance Scourge are great substitutes. Okay. All right. I said it. And that said, after Dustin, it's time. Dustin Witt. Nice to have you here, Dustin. I've been thinking about getting one of the Sykes daggers, and it will be my first. Is there a high-end version available for a decent price? I think Fox Knives, if you want a Fairbairn Sykes, which is this, if you want a Fairbairn Sykes modern build, like good materials, Fox Knives, I think is the way to go. I'm pretty sure. Look that up. Make sure I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I think it'll cost you a pretty penny. There are also, you could also go kind of the full custom route and find someone who's making those. But yeah, check out Fox Knives out of Italy. I think they do a primo version. All that said, let us now get to a pocket check.
What's in his pocket? Let's find out. Here's the Knife Junkie with his pocket check of knives.
Been carrying this one an awful lot this summer. This is the Eck integral knife. This is designed. Eck was just mentioned before when we were talking about Chattanooga leather and Saps. John Eck was a guy who was making knives. You might recognize the handle of this very famous combat knives, featured heavily in Vietnam. Not prominently, but that's when I think they had their heyday. Handles that look just like this, shaped just like that, with 3 large screws holding scales on the full tang blades. And so this is designed and put together. Well, no, this is designed, a co-design between Alan Elishewitz, 2 greats, Alan Elishewitz and Les George, 2 former Marines that love daggers, and they just did an amazing job on this design. Full integral. I have never had an integral before this knife. I really love it. I would still love it even if it weren't, but it's a nice feature. It feels a little bit different than a lot of my knives, or than all of my knives, I guess. It's so solid and monolithic, I guess. But this thing is put together by Kunwu. This is a Kunwu made knife, and the first Kunwu made knife I've ever had. And I absolutely adore it. I've been carrying it so much since I got it at Blade Show, and this was my prime purchase at Blade Show. I was kind of wandering around like, yeah, but what's the meaning of all this? Like, why did I really come? And then I saw this. I was like, that's why. It wasn't like that at all. But this was the knife that really, I don't know. I wanted to get an exciting, expensive folder. What can I say? You know what I mean? Expensive meaning like nice steel, great design, kind of not very not very much like anything else I have, and this was it for sure. All right, next up, this is brand new, and ordinarily I'd put this in the state of the collection, but I'm so excited about this. I got to show you right now. This is the new Jack Wolf Knives Venom Jack, and I love the Venom Jack. I should have brought out my other one. I didn't think to do that. I love the shape, the profile, everything about it. It's got this nice trapper handle that's so comfortable. It's got this beautiful broad Wharncliffe with a downward angled edge that accelerates all of the cutting, puts the tip below the right about where the knuckles are. It's such a great knife design. But this second drop here, this one in particular, is just knocking my socks off. I'm going to turn up the light just a titch here. So I initially saw the beautiful randomly napped titanium handled version, was like, oh my God, I want that one so bad. And kind of passed this one over visually. And Ben, as usual, was kind enough to send me one of these, and he sent me this one, and it is absolutely stunning with this dark, stormy, tempestuous red. What do they call that? Red. What is that called? Red carbon fiber. What's the kind? It's a fat carbon. It's I'll remember in a second. But that beautiful carbon fiber, and then the dark acid wash blade with the dark kind of blasted bolsters. It's so cool. It looks like an antique already. Triple fluted bolster up top, double fluted bolster on the bottom. Really incredible action. I mean, outstanding action. I'm going to do this in front of the mic. So crispy at every station. It just like snaps with authority. There is no slop. I had a martial arts, a very formative martial arts Kempo teacher, Tom Updegrove. He was an awesome dude. And he had a term called Jello lag. And this doesn't have any Jello lag. Jello lag is when, you're poised to fight. And then when you move and your body moves in separate, instead of an organized, solidified unit, you kind of like move sloppily, and like your feet move before your head and your spine move. And so that's Jello lag. And that's the mental word that's the word that comes into my mind when I open and close a lot of my case knives. For instance, this has a bit of Jello lag. I love it, but it takes a little like force to make it snap. These, you just put it beyond its ability to hold onto the blade, and it snaps into position without any. It's just. So anyway, really, really excellent knife, and just a very beautiful rendition. And we haven't seen this yet with the dark acid wash blade and the dark tumbled finished bolsters. And I just think it's gorgeous. I mentioned in my unboxing, it looks like something, and this is not a diss in any way. This is, it looks like something you'd see like in like the pocket of a steampunk person, or like some sort of futuristic historical weird mix of something about that. It's like already an antique, but it's extremely modern at the same time. All right, I'm gonna move on. The next thing I had on me was the beautiful, if I do say so myself, and gorgeously made Nova 2. This is the collaboration knife with Hogtooth Knives. We have this pre-order open up until the end of August, and then I'm gonna send the money and the numbers to the great and powerful Matt Chase in Massachusetts at Hogtooth Knives, and he will get started on making these. This is the follow-up to the Nova 1, which has the same handle except in maroon micarta with forest green liners and a recurve Bowie blade. This time we have a Kiradashi blade. It's a little bit longer, and well, it's about my favorite knife right now. This and the I guess it's no surprise, but this and the TKL knives, Agent 001, are the fixed blade knives that have gotten by far the most carry this summer. And this one is very kind on the love handles. That smooth, rounded, sort of short handle is pretty good on the love handles. Again, 3.75-inch blade. So if you look at it next to the Eck, about the same length in blade, but obviously doesn't need to have as long a handle to accommodate the blade. All right, last, another one that I've been carrying all summer long. I can't get enough of this knife, and it's not really in my wheelhouse at all. This is the Knives by Nuge primitive Wicket. Knives by Nuge, Tom Nugent. I had him on the show. He's a former sheriff's deputy up in New Jersey, now making knives. He camps. He's like outdoor New Jersey, and you don't think of those things together, but there are some. I've been all around New Jersey, and a lot of it is just beautiful, natural land. It's just a little kooky when it comes to their governance, I guess, and their taxation. I know that for sure. But the Wicket is a small version of the. Well, no, the Wicket. This is the Wicket, and then there's a Wicket XL, which I'm wanting. And this is a Scandi ground camp knife, and not my ordinary sort of go-to kind of knife, but this little 3-finger guy I got from Tom at Blade Show, mostly because I was like, I want a knife from Tom. I've interviewed him. I think he's a great guy. I love what he's doing. Not necessarily my kind of knife, but I want a knife from him. And I bought this, and I love it. It's so comfortable, like even up against the skin, under the shirt. Usually I don't do that with most neck knives. This one, it's nice and thin. I love the jute. Just a great knife. 80 CRV. And by the way, I use that to carve up something I'm going to show you here in a minute. So this is what I had on me today. What a nice, I'm very lucky to have this lineup of knives to carry today. So I'm very grateful about this. My Eck folder, integral folder, the new Jack Wolf knives, Venom Jack, the Nova 2 by Hogtooth Knives, and yours truly, and then the primitive Wicket by Nugent, Tom Nugent of Knives by Nuge. Check out Knives by Nuge on Instagram. I'm dropping stuff all over the place. All right, that's what I had on me. What did you have on you? Let's see this thing fly. What's that from? I know I've seen, Bob, you repeat that all the time, but no one's ever really given me a satisfactory answer. If my brother were watching, he'd hop right on and say, that's easy, bro. That's easy. That's low-hanging fruit. Let's see this thing fly. Actually, the knife he uses is more like this. And maybe Have a Knife Day might know this one. Okay, Have a Knife Day, the Bastinelli 4 of a Kind series. I think that's what they're called. I have the Spade, small ring and very nimble. Yes, and I have the Anomaly. That's the Pical version. I love that, and very comfortable placement of the ring. Toyotas and Tools says so many Bastinelli knockoffs and copies out there now. I know it's true. It's true. I mean, his Filipino Kali. OG Blade says Filipino Kali practice states that the knife is deadlier than the sword. Sword removes limbs, but knives reach organs. Oh, yeah. Swords can reach organs too, but I think I know what you mean. I think a sword is possibly bigger. Well, definitely bigger, possibly slower, and easier to. I don't know. I shouldn't even put easier or slower or any of those words, but that's an interesting philosophy. Karen Slavin, good to have you here, Karen. Is that a British Commando boot knife? Yeah, it's a British Commando knife, not really a boot knife, though I think they may have. Actually, the sheath for that does have accommodations for boot and forearm carry. They have these 2 tabs that come off the sheath that were meant to, I guess, attach to something else. So I guess maybe people did put them in their boots. But yeah, it's longer than a boot knife, though. It's like a 6.5-inch dagger there. AJ, good to have you here, AJ. Evening all. Hope everyone's having a great one so far. AJ, hope you're having a great one as well. Dustin Witt, good to have you here, Dustin. Wait, I already said hi to you, Dustin, I think. What's the high-end dagger that's good for... Oh, What's a high-end dagger that's good for self-defense? I've never owned a dagger before. Before abdomen, it will be my force. Okay. I've never owned a dagger before. I don't think you meant to put abdomen, but this will be my first. All right. Did I bring it out? Dadgummit. For self-defense. I mean, I'm thinking, again, I'm thinking of a, here, I'm going to put this here for a second and get it. It's right over there. So Jim, if you don't mind, cut right over here to the knife cam, and I'm going to get
Adventure Delivered, your monthly subscription for hand-picked outdoor, survival, EDC, and other cool gear from our expert team of outdoor professionals. TheKnifeJunkie.com/battlebox.
I was talking before about Dirk Pinkerton. Here's the handmade Dirk Pinkerton that's small enough to carry. This is called the Cave Bear, double-edged curved Pikal style knife, or you could say it's sort of a Middle Eastern style knife. You hold it like that. Here's the triple-edged fire ant, though he makes it in a single-edged version. That was also turned into a folder for Kaiser. So he makes some great stuff. For dagger, I love this one here. This is the only dagger I really carry for self-defense. And that's not to say I don't have others I wouldn't like to, or that kind of thing. But in terms of size, this is perfect for me. It's 3.25 inches, and the handle is outstanding. This is the auxiliary manufacturing. Remember, I was just showing you that punch dagger? Same dude. Auxiliary manufacturing pocket rocket dagger. I know he does the pocket rocket in a couple of different blades, but I love this dagger version. The handle is here in cross section. It's octagonal if you count the width of the tang here, and then when you look from all aspects, there is a faceting and there's also scooping. So the handle is just great. No matter how you grab it, it just fits the hand perfectly, and it's a really, really secure grip. Yeah, I love this thing, and it's not too big. It's a really good size, and the sheath is excellent, and it carries well appendix. Even though that's a straight handle, I usually like curved handles for appendix, but both of these work very well because they're the right length, and actually a straight handle goes right in that sort of curve that happens when your belly kind of intersects with your hip. So very comfortable. So I guess right now I would say for double-edged dagger, perfectly symmetrical dagger type knife, I love this one. The auxiliary manufacturing pocket rocket dagger. And they make a bigger one too. Stephen Clayton says the fin works great as a push dagger also. The fin. Oh, the FLN. So like, where is it? Oh, like this? Maybe between the fingers like this, something like that. When I showed, this is gonna sound like name dropping. When I showed Lynn Thompson the Agent 001, he was like this. He immediately took it and he was like, that guard's a little small. This is how you should fight with it. I'm like, okay. And yeah, I trust him. You know, you get a little bit of, you get maybe a little more reach. You also have that going into the palm. He likes to grab knives weirdly, I guess, but to me, I'm like, yeah, I think I'll hold it like this. Thank you very much. Bob's Pocket, and that's not to say that he doesn't know what he's talking about, because he does. He is, I would not tangle with that dude. Bob's Pocket Knife says pinky in the buttress. Are you talking about, pinky in the buttress? Are you talking about this? Is this pinky in the buttress? Or am I just being gross now? Doug Boal says, Bob, those were billy clubs and definitely classified as deadly weapons. Even those who have carry weapons permits are still prohibited from carrying in many locations. Very dangerous. Yes, I would imagine that's dangerous. Something like that's dangerous. Doug, let me ask you about this. What about like heavy brass knuckles? They have to be really dangerous too. Am I right? And I'm not saying that I think they should be illegal because they're very dangerous. I like very dangerous things. I think they should be totally illegal. But I would imagine, talking with, Jared Neve, he's used brass knuckles like for real, and I believe that for real. And he said they're very effective. Pat D's Nuts, good to have you here, Pat. Hello, Bob, Jim, and all my fellow peeps. Well, Pat, I haven't talked about this recently, so let me just bring this up. You could have this awesome stubby looking 940 type knife. It's actually the Sencut Excalcis, and I think it's really awesome. It to me, it is what the 940 wants to be, and I love that blade shape there. Sort of a clip point, modified clip point. It's like a double clip. You can see how it could be a Bowie, and then they knock the clip off, so it's like a double clip. Anyway, I really like this thing because it's a Sencut, it's a Civivi, it's a Wii, if you will, and it comes with the Civivi lanyard. So this is a $12 value here, and whatever the knife costs. But I really do like this, and this is a nice heavy brass bead here with the C for Civivi. All you got to do is put #knife in the comments, and in about 5 minutes, but we know that we're on knife time, so 5 minutes could turn into 10 minutes, but we're going to be giving this away shortly. And I do know that Jim will keep me honest. All right, speaking of Doug Boal, I got to show you a knife that he just sent me. And actually, I will talk to Doug about this offline, but this is very cool, and I'm very grateful that he sent it my way. Thank you very much. I think he gave it to me as of today, but I'm assuming it's a loaner until I get confirmation. But whoa, oh, that looks like I'm forcing the issue. I really don't mean it like that. But I reread the email. I'm like, what are you? But anyway, this is a gorgeous. This is made in Washington, so this is like old school SOG knife. It's called the SOGwinder, SOGwinder, like Sidewinder, like the missile or the snake. SOGwinder II S9, and Doug sent it along, and it actually, he's also sent it in a pouch. These came in pouches. SOG shipped them with pouches. I think this is an aftermarket, as it says, a redhead on it, but these shipped and you carried it in a pouch. It did not have a clip, but it did have this extremely stout lockback blade. This is AUS 6, old school thumb stud, when thumb studs were brand new tech. And oh man, this thing is so sharp. This is one of the original tactical pocket folders, and I'm very, very grateful to Doug for sending this over, because I also have this one. This is one that I have. I always forget what this was called, but I bought this in the summer of 1991. In the summer of 1991, between my freshman and sophomore years in college, I believe it was. I was in Boston for the summer, going to school there, and having an amazing time away from home for the first time, besides being a year away at college, and it was really cool. And they used to have a knife shop in Boston. Can you imagine that? I cannot imagine that there's one there now, but it was downstairs on Newberry Street, I think it was called, the famous street there. And I bought this and I carried it all summer, and it was dull, but really nice, super stout. And it's got the same sort of construction as this. And this, man, I only dreamed of having, one of these big suckers. Man, the lock back is such a great lock. I think with all the fidgetiness we have, and don't get me wrong, I love all the variety: liner locks, frame locks, button locks, bar locks, all sorts of different kind of things. And a lot of them are very, very fidgety and fun to play with and stuff, but lockbacks are so freaking strong. And if they're cold steels, you can fidget with them all day long. Look at how the back of this is all hafted together. It's so nicely done. This is before SOG lost their compass. Of course, they reinvented themselves, in the past 5 years or so, and have done a pretty good job. But this, to me, was their glory days when they were making these and the big leather stacked handled combat knives. I love kind of this old SOG period here. Very, very nice. This craton rubber grip, this checkered craton rubber grip, is just starting to get just a little tacky. You know what I mean? Just a little. Is this too? Yeah. This is from the early 90s now. This rubber is from the early 90s. So, and presumably this is about the same time. So, yeah, that's a long time ago, people. You're like, yeah, we know. Most of us weren't born then, Bob. Oh, well, fine. But thank you so much, Doug. This is awesome, and I want to make sure I'm not mistaken. So we'll talk. We'll email offline. But I really love this thing. It is a very cool piece of knife history for sure. And man, like you said in your email, you better keep your hands away from that when it's closing, because it will take your finger off. Will B, nice to have you here, Will. Hey, Bob, Jim, and fellow junkies. I'm a little late. Well, Will, if you want to win a Sencut Excalcis with a Civivi lanyard for the cost of nothing, for the cost of typing in #knife in the comments, do so now. Ant of Egypt, Spartan Blades makes a couple of really nice daggers, which are sometimes offered in Damascus. Yeah, the one I showed here is the Harsey. I also have the one that Les George designed called the Raider, and it's in their more budget line. But man, the Les George, the original Les George dagger, I really want that. But that's another $450. I just too many knives. Too many knives. Bob's Pocket Knives says, pocket sand, sha. I love that, pocket sand. I'm just going to dump a little sand in my pocket in case it goes down. It's going right in your eye, along with some pepper. Toyotas and Tools says, Stevie Ray, Booker T brothers used a sap. Really? Stevie Ray, Booker T's brother, used a sap. Is that like Stevie Ray Vaughan or Stevie Ray? Is that, I don't know. It was a thing in Southern wrestling. It was a thing in Southern wrestling, which was a culture in its own. Interesting. A sap right to the back of the head, right? That was the main target, but you could hit someone on the knuckles with that and just destroy their hand, I would imagine. County Commission had a mini pry bar that was based off the fireman's tool that they use for prying door frames. Those are really cool. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called, but they did a Forged in Fire challenge where they all had to make those things. They're really cool. Those big old pry bars. I wear a rigger's belt that has a rigger's belt that has a big metal buckle with a D-ring that becomes a flail. Yeah, those rigger's belts. I have a like a fake version of that on me right now. It's just a nylon web belt with that sort of thing. You wouldn't want to attach a carabiner to it, but it looks like the kind of belt that you can, which is what you're talking about. And that's a big, long Velcro attachment too, right? On your rigger's belt. That's great for carrying holsters, I think. But man, to get whacked with one of those, oh my God, take your teeth right out. EDC, good to have you here, EDC. Good morning from UK, Great Britain. Well, good morning to you, sir. I hope all is going well for you. I know that your nation's going through it right now, but I hope you are safe, and I'm sure you are. Mark Salva says, have you seen the Saps designed around a change purse? I have, and I like it, except, yeah, I like it. I just don't carry change, but yeah, you could just get change and put it in there, and then you have a good reason to have it. I think that's the whole point. You can just say, sir, it's my change purse. And then he'll say, really? And then you'll say, yeah, mind your own beeswax. Steve says, throw some pollen my way and you've won. Yeah, right. Exactly. Tree pollen. Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah. It gets nasty around here. Pat D's Nuts says, growing up in Philly, I lived in Philly for 4.5 years. We basically kept to fists, but when shit went sideways, rocks from railroad tracks, screwdriver, car antenna, the club, steering wheel lock, I remember that. You could hold it in a certain way too, like a tonfa kind of, bottle, knuckles, and the bat. That's interesting, Pat. What part of Philly did you grow up in? I'd be curious to find out. I always thought car antenna would just be nasty because you break it off and then you've got that jagged edge at the end of that whip. Oh, so any part of it touches you, it's going to hurt like hell. But if the tip grazes you, oof. Todd Carr says, my Leatherman Surge weighs almost a pound. Attach rope and it makes a handy flail. Very nice. Keys could make a handy flail, but you want to worry. You don't want to have to worry about your keys. All right, let me show you why I brought this whole thing up. And that's because the other day I was talking about the primitive wicket, as I mentioned, my emotional support knife today. I wanted to do some whittling, and I found a little dowel from a project that I was doing with the girls a while ago for school. And so I started, using this just to test on the dowel and to see how that beautiful Scandi grind worked on the dowel. Well, I was like, I'm going to make a palm stick. I've been following this guy, and now I can't think of his name. But he's one of the dudes that taught another dude that I follow, this Netherlands self-defense. Anyway, he's this British guy, not the Netherlands guy, but the guy who was one of his teachers. Really, really tough dude. And he likes palm sticks, that you can use like makiwaras, like, like these things. This is one from a martial arts shop a million years ago. And you use it as a fist load and a thing to hit with. Well, I made one like he has, and it's right here. This is a palm stick. I made it out of the dowel, and I know it looks like a marital aid, but it is not a marital aid. It is actually a palm stick that you can really kick someone's ass with. And I wanted to make it sharp, but not too sharp, because I don't want it to look too much like a weapon. And then I wanted one side where I could put my thumb to really back it up so I could hammer fist with it. It's very light. I should be careful of the words I choose. It's very light. I have it. I use some linseed oil on it, and you could use it as a fist load too. It's bigger than that not makiwara. That's a punching board. It's bigger than whatever this thing. Kubaton. Sorry guys, it's bigger than this Kubaton. So it makes a decent fist load. For punching, but it's a little light. Next time I do something like this, I'd rather it be from a much heavier hard wood. But so the thing about this is it's not a weapon. You look at it, even this is a weapon. It's a keychain. Yeah, but it's obviously, this thing is a massager, because I have my neck issues here, and then I can use this to really dig into the nape of my neck here. And then I get these forearm cramps. This works on the forearm cramps. And then with this, I can get between the fingers, because who doesn't cramp up between the fingers? So that's what this is. This is no marital aid. It's a fist load. Thanks, Jim. So I'll be selling these, but believe me, shipping is very discreet. All right. So that is it. All right. Okay. Let's give away this knife. So the knife we're giving away tonight is the Sencut Excalcis. Is that what it's called? Every time I say that sounds wrong. Yeah, it's the Excalcis. Let's look at the box. Yes, I'm not making that up. The Excalcis. I'll show you what it ships with. If you don't have a Sencut, Wii or Civivi, well, Wii I guess is probably fancier than this, but they all come in these little pouches, which are nice. And that comes with a cleaning cloth and some stickers. And it could be all yours. So Sencut Civivi sent this to me not that long ago. They sent it when they sent the EX1, the Brian Brown knife. I kept that one, the Civivi. I've kept that for my Civivi collection because I've interviewed Brian Brown and I don't have a knife from him. and I don't plan on getting one of his super expensive ones. So this is a great way to have a knife from a guy that I've interviewed. That's kind of my goal. All right, so this could be yours. Let's do it right now. Jim, are we ready to go with this? I know you said 46 watching, 21 entries. That was a little while ago. Hopefully more have joined in. Let's do this in 3, 2, and 1. Who will get it this time? Who indeed will get it this time? J. Demeter, this is yours, sir. This is now your son, Sencut Excalcis. And now you will have to say Excalcis, and I will not. I will send this to you. I'm just going to leave the lanyard right on it. You can do what you want with it, and I will send this your way. Do send me an email. Do it right now while it's fresh in your mind. TheKnifeJunkie@gmail.com, and let me know what your shipping address is, and I'll get this out maybe even tomorrow. I know some of you might be saying, yeah, maybe tomorrow or maybe in like a month, but that's only if you live in Australia. I forgot. Well, I don't need to get into that. All right, this is going in here. Let me know what your address is. Bob's Pocket Knife says, I'm carrying my usual case Sodbuster Jr., but in a brand new leather slip from Erica's EDC. Erica's EDC, you say? I don't know who that is, but I like the sound of it. I have this case right over here next to me that I do love. I just wish it had better action. It's got such beautiful covers and a very nice CV blade, but the action's a little sloppy. Joseph S., nice to have you here, Joseph. TRM Adam, a classic there. TKL Night Stalker, another classic. Leatherman Rebar and the GEC 71 Bullnose. My gosh, Joseph, you have them all today. That's really nice. Knives Are Life, good to have you here. Knives Are Life. Kubi Hydro, Kubi Wrath Karambit, Tactile Bear Slip Joint. Ooh, that's nice. The Hydro, not sure I know what that is, but the Wrath is pretty cool. I was just watching Dave's video on that not that long ago. Stephen Clayton says Remnant Alliance Scourge. TKL. Oh, okay, that's what that is. Okay, Remnant Alliance Scourge. TKL Knives Agent 001 ×2. Yes. Agent 002. The Combatant, the Knife Guard, the Night Guard, the Night Guard 2.0. I'm not sure what those are, actually. Oh, I know what those are. They're the smaller Warncliffey ones, I think. The TS-87, the FLN ×2, the Guardian, the Night Stalker CG, the Striker, the Gideon V3. That's another nice ringed knife. The Midgard's Messer Mini Axe. Mid-Mess? That's Midgard Messer, right? The Crudo Snagbit SD5 and the Wingard Wearables Micro Dick Pick. My Lord. You're ready, man. You are ready. You are the Lou Diamond Phillips of the evening so far. That's pretty awesome. And I'm referring to his character in Young Guns, who was the knife guy. He had the Bowie knife with the ring. I thought that was so cool. Now I cannot find a reason for a ring on a knife for the forefinger. I really can't. A guard that hooks down is one thing. A ring, like, unless you just want to twirl it for fun, there's no real practical use for a ring knife Bowie. And I'm not talking about the pinky at the pommel. I'm talking about right at the guard. Prove me wrong. Todd Carr says Leatherman Surge and accessories, Gerber Dime and Shard, Swiss Army Knife SD Classic, Cold Steel AD10, American Lawman, the Benchmade Mini Freak in the 5th pocket. I like that Freak line. The Olight I3T, the Arkfeld UV, the Rovivon A3, and Forrest Hank. Rovivon. What is that? That's got to be a flashlight, right? All right, let me show you something really cool. Matisfaction, good to have you here, sir. Good evening, everyone. He says, well, good evening to you, sir. David Helka, nice to have you here, David. Dark Matter Red, thank you. Ooh, I like the knives in your avatar. Dark Matter Red, thank you very much. And of course, he was talking about the sumptuous new my sumptuous new Jack Wolf knives, Venom Jack. That is the red There it is. That is so nice. I love this thing, and I love the just that antique look is just so cool. Thank you very much. Todd Carr says the Primitive Bear Knives Pocket Lucky Fixed Blade. Yeah. EDC, my first choice is blue, then second, dark matter red. Do I have blue? I have some blues. I don't know if it's dark matter blue, but it's kind of it looks like that. It looks like a storm on another planet. Donnie Simmons, nice to have you here, Donnie. Thanks for showing off the Venom. My pleasure. Oh, and also pretty much my favorite hat too. Hey everyone, says Donnie. Well, hello to you, sir. Good to have you here. Pat D's Nuts says carrying the Max Ace Neptune double edge half serrated. This sounds awesome. Oh, that's the out the front, the Neptune. I forgot all about that. I need to check that out. And the ProTech Malibu MagnaCut Warncliffe. Very nice. Blue textured paluminum. All right, so I got to show you this. I'm always talking about the Navajas. I love Navajas, and I've never had one. And so on a whim, I was like, let's see if there's one on Amazon. And lo and behold, Joker Knives makes a Navaja. And Joker is a top brand from Spain. And this, at least from judging this, and from what I know, the Spanish knives all have a very similar feel and quality. And this is a very sweet knife. It's a beautiful representation of a Navaja. That's what I wanted. I wanted a something like this with the brass and the beautiful horn-shaped handle, and this is stag. And then you have a locking blade. This lock, you push that up, and when it gets right there, then you can close it. Doesn't snap shut at all. Unlike some classic Navajas that actually have the ratchets, it's called something else, bumps, like a 5-bump ratchet or something like that, where you pull it out. Different sort of opening, but still, I love this thing. Deeply hollow ground, super thin edge. I mean, this is a wicked edge, and also very pokey. It's got that beautiful long swedge Spanish clip point. It's just beautiful. This comes, it's called the Sevillana, because I guess in Sevilla or Seville, that's really the epicenter of the Navaja and where it was born. But this one is so incredibly solid. I mean, so solid. It really feels like a fixed blade knife. It's so you're giving up some of the action, quote unquote action. It doesn't in any way snap shut. It doesn't like open up it opens up smoothly, but you got to pull it like with some force. It's not like that. It's nothing that you're going to fidget with, but yeah, you could defend your honor with it. And it feels really good in hand. I didn't realize how much a Navaja would swell here sideways to accommodate that pinching there. And of course, that pinching at the back, at the pommel end, orients the blade even further down. So if you're slashing with it, you're getting the effect of a recurve, because that straight and the belly are downward, pointing downward. Very interesting kind of pommel here. You got sort of a double lobed pommel, or not pommel. What is this thing? Bolster. And I love it. It also comes in a black horn model, and it was not that expensive. It was under $100, made in Spain. And the steel is, now all you steel snobs are going to start clutching your pearls. MOV 1.4116. Oh, this is something that besides mentioning the molybdenum and the vanadium, the 1.4116, I think that's a Krupp steel from Germany, and I believe that's one of the budget steels that Cold Steel uses on some of their budgety knives. So a great and beautiful acquisition, totally on the spur of the moment, and I'm very, very psyched I did that because I love it. And I'm very happy to have a Navaja in my collection. Next stop, Miguel Barbudo. Oh my God. If you don't know who he is, look him up on Instagram, Miguel Barbudo. He designed a wee knife a few years back called the Wee Black Cow that has me very jealous of everyone that owns one, Dave. And so Dave and I actually send pictures back and forth because we both lust after his blades, and his navajas are just surreal. They're so beautiful. Dustin Witt says, this week I've got the Jack Wolf knives, the Benny. Awesome knife. I've been carrying my Benny like it's a big tactical knife, meaning in my front right pocket, like all the time. I love this knife. The Griffin Co. EDC fixed blade. That looks cool. And now the ProTech ATCF in white ivory micarta. I love that knife, Dustin. That is the classic Terzuola ATCF as treated by ProTech. So, turned into an awesome automatic. And that white ivory micarta has that reverse tux look. I guess the black blade with that's so pretty, man. And DLC coating. Pretty happy with the Jack Wolf knives and Griffin Co. Haven't got the ATCF. Oh, you haven't received it yet. I was thinking, I don't get it. I just don't get this knife. I think I'll move it along. I think I'll just send it to the Knife Junkie. Yeah, go for it, man. Dustin Witt says the autocorrect messed up that sentence. Oh, okay. Gideon V3 and ProTech Rockeye. Oh my God, nice combination, Lady Picture Show. I was talking about the Les George I have right here, but the Rockeye and that ProTech Rockeye was the first Les George I ever had, and I was really wanting the VSEP, and then ProTech came out with the Rockeye a long time ago, and I love that thing. So great combo there. That's my long way of saying great combo. OG Blades, a great dagger for self-defense is the Tellem. Oh yeah, with only a 2.75-inch blade and full-size handle. Part of one edge is serrated, very light, easy to carry and conceal. Yeah, it's pretty flat. And also, even though it's a 2.75-inch blade, it's a wide blade. So that it might not be the deepest hole you're going to leave, but it's going to be a big hole. It's going to be a wide hole. And I'll stop saying hole. But it's better than saying wound channel, which always makes me want to retch a little bit. But yeah, check out the Tellem by Bastinelli Creations. That is a cool one, and I think it falls in your $250 price range. Karen says, I have one, the sheath got ruined. Oh, I have one, the sheath got ruined, and I can't find a replacement. Any suggestions? Uh-oh, Karen, my old mind has forgotten which knife you're talking about. But let me know. And we'll figure out where we can get that sheath. The 001 is almost a dagger. Yes, it is almost a dagger. But here, I'm going to hold it upside down, because when you hold knives upside down, you can really see their shape better. To me, dagger is, well, not just to me, a dagger is symmetrical, and this is asymmetrical. And I loosely call asymmetrical double-edged blades fighters, even though fighters can have single-edged blades. To me, a fighter is a double-edged asymmetrical blade. So right here, you have that. You have sort of that clip point that you see on like a Loveless fighter, and or like the A2D medium fighter. So kind of a bayonet grind is what I'm getting at. But then here you have a dagger. This is the next one I was going to show up. This is the Ladac from Fred Perrin and Max Knives out of France. Totally symmetrical, sharp on both edges. I cannot call a dagger without both edges a dagger. To me, that's a dagger ground drop point. But it's got to have the double edges for me. So this one I got on a whim also. This was a $35 knife, 440C, made in France by Max Knives for Fred Perrin. And this one I got because I am going to wrap this sucker in jute, I think. I think it'll be in jute. But now that I have it, I kind of want to, I don't know. I will see, but I love the shape of that coffin handle. It is a pretty broad handle, and that's my one misgiving about wrapping this. I'm thinking of maybe taking the handle, thinning out the handle a little bit on my grinder before I do, but that's way too much work for me right now on a knife that I probably am not so interested in carrying. So first I'll just try wrapping it. And see where that takes me with jute, of course, because that's what I'm into right now. I just love that primitive look and the way it feels in hand. It's so grippy and nice and natural. I think Lynn likes to troll. Oh, I know Lynn likes to troll, but not with the knife thing. I mean, I've seen him do that with his with the Voyager XLs and all that, but he loves to troll. He trolled Zach Wingard of Wingard Wearables, and I think I think at first Zach was like taken aback, like, why are you being such a dick? But I think it wasn't like, I think in the end it didn't turn out to be like that. I think, but yeah, I think he likes to get a rise out of people for sure. Lady Picture Show says Thai chopsticks. Yes, I have Thai chopsticks at work, and they're not sharpened, but I hate to eat with them. I guess I bite my chopsticks just a little bit, and I find that out every time I have to use my titanium ones. EDC says, carry a shillelagh. It's what I do in the UK. Yes, indeed. I have a shillelagh that I got when I was in 8th grade and visited Ireland with my mom and my sister. And I got, even back then in 8th grade, it was so important for me to come back with a weapon. It had to be ethnographic. So I got a shillelagh, but I also found a sporting goods store and bought a dive knife because it looked like a dagger. So I found that recently, about a year ago, and was thrilled. But yeah, something about a big, heavy piece of wood. And then I also have one from a piece of wood that a friend gave me from an Osage orange tree. An Osage orange is a very dense, heavy wood. So that would make a hell of a shillelagh. Doug Boal says, yes, many locations still ban brass knuckles, still on the books from the 1930s. Why I oughta. Yeah. I would say these aren't brass knuckles. These are knuckle dusters. There's a difference. And they'd say, all right, well, those are illegal too. Get your ass in my jail. Jesse, good to have you here, Jesse. Evening all, he says. Well, evening to you, sir. Craig Vincent, Bob, now I want to make knives just to come up with cool names for them. Yes. The Extinguisher. Something that is jury friendly. The Petunia. I mean, like we should go the opposite direction. You have the Kaiser. I talk about this all the time, but the Kaiser Assassin, this charming little 3-inch EDC knife called the Assassin. Like, why would you do that? Hamdaman, good to have you here, Hamdaman. Do you have any Spydercos from the early 2000s? I had one, maybe from the 90s, actually, and I gave that to my brother. It was before, it looks kind of like an Endura, but it was still called a Clip It. It was a Clip It, and I gave that to my brother with a full Spidey serration. What's my earliest Spyderco? Hard to say, but like the Uliza is probably my earliest really good Spyderco. Steve says, I've seen brass knuckles break in use. It did damage, but not what I always thought it would do. However, it might have been a flea market purchase versus stronger material you find now. That's what I was thinking, Steve. I wonder if it was just some cheesy pot metal that someone melted down and put in a form. Like, I have no doubt that it would take this would not break in use. If you were using it against Godzilla, perhaps. Toyota and Tool says, I think that little SOG was put up on the SOG collector's page this week and said that knife was made for only 1 year. Whew. How cool is that? This little guy. That's why it's always so hard to find out what it's called, because there are a lot of knives like it. But this one is harder to find. Doug, my honor to give it to you. Thank you so much, Doug. I was thinking that this was a loaner, and then I reread that email and I was like, oh, and now you're confirming it. Thank you so much, Doug. It is my honor to accept it. This is a really amazing knife, and it means a lot that you gave it to me, Doug. He's also a patron, but also it's so cool to have in my collection because it's this is a piece of tactical folder history. And it's going to go in there right next to this SOG and my my year 2000 Emerson Commander. classics. Thank you so much, Doug. Oh, sorry. The pollen in my basement must be kicking up. Dwayne says, lockbacks are so underrated. Buck 110, 8010, etc. Yes, and all of the Voyager series, very, very fidgety, if that's your thing, but just strong as hell. And of course, the triad lock just pushes the strength into the stratosphere. Todd Carr says, always rock a triad lock in my left pocket. I like that. A man's got to have a code. For a while, mine was the pink cold steel in my waistband. And I would say there's never an excuse not to have 4 inches of super steel on your person at all times with a knife that thin and strong. And I still believe that. And actually, Lynn Thompson, when I was talking to him at Blade Show, had one in his chest pocket, just like some people carry pens. He had a big 4-inch folder there. Harlem Heat, Toyota and Tool says Harlem Heat was a tag team of brothers. Oh, Stevie Ray and Booker T. All right, so named after the famous musicians, but wrestlers. Mike Brandon, Alma Lewis, nice to have you here, Mike and Alma. I've got a Dynamis Alliance belt. How cool that I have a roll in half of quarters. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let me read this again. I have a Dynamis Alliance belt that I have a roll in a half of quarters. Just went through TSA, not even a question. So this is very cool. Dynamis Alliance. What's his name? Dom Rasso. A nice Irish boy. Dom Rasso was a SEAL Team 6 guy, I believe. And he's got some really cool knives that are out there made by Winkler Knives and designed by him. But he also has an under Dynamis Alliance, and he also sells this really cool belt that's super sturdy. I think it's kind of like a rigger's belt. Am I right? Kind of like the belt that Have a Knife Day was talking about, but it has like a zipper inside, like a what were those cash belts that you could money belt, like a money belt, but you put quarters in there and it turns into a heavy flail. That's cool. That's really cool. I like Dynamis. I met Mr. Rasso at Blade Show a couple of years ago, and he said he wanted to come on the show. I've sent him so many invites, or just a couple, and but I know, man, people are busy, and you never quite know the best way to reach out to someone. Angry Tom says, I won a giveaway the other day from Big Red EDC. I love him. He's awesome. And he packed this box. It's full of holy smokes. Thank you, Big Red, if you are out there. He's awesome. He's a great dude. Holy smokes. What are those? Are those, is that beef jerky? Bob says, not a marital aid. It's a martial aid. That's exactly right. Thank you. Someone had to say it. It's a martial aid. I got the term marital aid from Frank Zappa. EDC says, LOL, just need batteries. Yeah, exactly. Have a Knife Day says, sure, you could sure give someone a pounding with that. Oh, man. Wow, all the jokes are coming in now. Ground Fog, Yawara, Kubaton. Yes, respectfully, a Makiwara is a conditioning. Never mind. I think I may have said that right as you were typing that out. That's one of those boards that you don't want to hit for too long, but you Hamdaman says, put a metal target arrow tip on it. Ooh, yeah, I like that. I'm always for putting little sharp things on other things. Have a Knife Day says, brown paper bag shipping. Sorry. Patty's Nuts says, born and raised in East Falls, about 6 miles west of downtown Philly via Kelly Drive, East Falls. Okay, is that near Conshohocken? I used to love driving out by the Schuylkill River. What are those roads? I used to love that drive. I had a little Honda stick shift. I miss driving stick. I really miss old manual driving. That was awesome. I would love to someday someday I'd love to get some cool old. Well, I'd love to get an early '90s Porsche 911 with 1,000,000 miles on it. That's still going, and yeah, I'd love to have some small little fast car. I drive like that anyway, so I deserve one of those. Or not deserve, but I should have one of those. Ground Fox says Okinawan ones at times have leather loops in the center for the middle finger. Yes, okay, I've seen that. Oh, by the way, that putting the arrowhead would look a bit like this. That would be pretty sweet. But yeah, I've seen that. Where the thing is right there and it's not going to come out of your hand that way. Dion Page, good to have you here. Dion, I got my Wyatt Haynes Warbow yesterday. It's freaking killer. I'm sorry, Wyatt Hines Warbow yesterday. It's freaking killer. I absolutely, well, you know, I love bowies. Harper Explorers, nice to have you here, Harper. My palm stick is made by Olight Arkfeld Pro. Yes, a killer striking device. My Arkfeld sits next to the bed. But that said, I like the bezels, the crenulated bezels on these lights too. You can really hit them in the face, and you know, with the eyes, or I mean, with the blinding, and then hit them with the thing. And yeah, I think flashlights are great as secondary or tertiary weapons. Addicted to Knives says, I watch on the big TV every week. Hard to type with the remote. Oh God. Oh, that is one of the worst things ever, is clicking through. Oh my God. So you're seeing this big screen. These swords are all real size, actual size. See, 2000 Spyderco Endura 2 stainless steel AUS 6. Says Hamdaman. Yeah. That stands to, maybe stands to reason isn't the right, but Japanese steel. These were made also in Japan. The Spydercos were made in Japan. That was the thing. And then AUS 8, I guess, came along later. And then, of course, AUS 10. Help with gadgets. Nice to have you here, sir. Howdy, folks, he says. Howdy to you, sir. Craig Vincent, Bob, it was a strange week. Of course, I bought knives, 2, in fact, but I sent 10 cold steels from my collection to someone to check out. Well, very generous of you. Very generous of you. I know when you do that, you're like, oh, the part of you is like, I hope, well, not part of you, a big part of you is like, I hope that some postman with sticky fingers doesn't feel like, God, this feels like a box full of knives. Because every time I pick up a box of a certain dimension and I'm like, this feels like a box full of knives. There are boxes coming to my office all the time that I know are not for me, but I'm always like, that's a box full. It feels like it, looks like it. People are sick of hearing it, but I got to say it. Split and Slices. Byron, nice to have you. Well, howdy, Bob, Jim, junkies. Late for Thursday Night Knives. Good excuse. Working on a knife project at the shop tonight. How cool. PTK check is RCB Appalachian Jack. Let's see. Oh, Pocket check is Rosecraft Blades Appalachian Jack. And the Off-Grid Knives Stinger EDC. Very nice choices there. Your Pocket check is on a SS short. Oh, yes, it is. It is. But I did not have this with me at the time. This was in my bag. But yes, it was. Thank you for Thanks for noticing. Sorry. I'm just practicing for when I get a haircut. Dion Page says, hello, Bob. It's Raylene. Hey, Raylene, how you doing? I finally responded to your email. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you here with us. Help with Gadgets says RD Blades Spectre Vosteed. Oh, and by the way, Raylene, you have to decide what knife you want. And I say that just because this is your second week here, and I think if you're not carrying a knife yet, I think you need to start. So you got to start thinking about what it is you need. All right, RD Blades Spectre. I don't know that one. Vosteed RS Chaos. That's a cool one. The Chupacabra. Love that. I just do wish that the lock was just slightly different in terms of pulling it back. My finger tends to slip off of it sometimes. Mr. Eddie Fixed. Added the Eutectic binary with orange scales. Eutectics are cool. I love the Eutectic. we sent the Trinity to someone who won it, and then I have the I'm looking at it right now, and I bent the blade a little bit, which bent the edge, drives me nuts. But I kind of sharpened it out a little bit. But the everyday ED everyday, I can't remember what it's called. Split and Slices, a global hello to all. Go home to slightly irritated wife to finish Thursday night knives. Yeah. Well, you got to do what you do. We'll be here next. Well, we won't be here next week. Just so y'all know, we will not be here next week. But we'll be here the week after that. So that's also when we're going to be doing our Gentleman Junkie knife giveaway. Colton Hooper, nice to have you here, Colton. I got it. Colton Hooper. First of all, before we move on, that's a character name. That's a cool name. I'm sure you know that, but that's like a movie character name, Colton Hooper. I got a buck 722 Spitfire today. Very nice. I follow this guy, Knife Doctor, and he loves the Spitfire. He uses it a lot. That's a cool looking knife. EDC says action on the Benny is amazing. It is amazing, and it gets better. It gets better. I mean, to me, it's gotten more and more fidgety as the month has gone on. Craig Vincent says a lot of European chef knives use 4116 steel as well. Okay. 4116 Kruppstahl. Toyotas and Tools says, when is the Fox Terzuola getting dropped again? I don't know. I found them from European retailers for MAP rather than full MSRP. I don't know. I really would like to have that. I don't know. It's expensive. Anything with his name on it is expensive, and that's cool. It should be, for sure. Like the new Tactile Turn, the Mariner. That's based on a knife that Mr. Miller himself, Mike Miller himself, has from the late 80s, and he always wanted to turn that into a knife, and has. But yeah, Terzuola is not inexpensive in any form. Craig Vincent says, along with my usual array of cold steel folders, I also carried my new Swiss Tech Stahlem fixed blade. I don't know that one. Swiss Tech. I was just holding a Swiss Tech. That's one of the new brands that they're selling at Walmart right now. Is that right? And is the fixed blade, it looks kind of like a Kephart, kind of like an EDC Kephart. Knives to my, good to have you here, Knives too. Hello, everyone. My collection goes way beyond knives and guns. Pepper spray is important. I got some right here. This is just to season my food. No, I'm just kidding. I had to use mine this evening on a bike ride. I'm so sorry to hear that, man. A rather aggressive dog decided to come after me. Damn, that could be scary, dude. Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you had that on you, and I'm glad you didn't have to hurt the dog. I know that these can hurt dogs, and I've heard stories of, not heard stories. I know of one story of this being used to defend oneself against an attacking dog to great effect. Craig Vincent says, I have the micarta version of the La Dague. I love it. Oh, do you? I didn't know that they had it stands to reason though, because they kind of sell micarta versions, I think, of all of their skeletonized ones. I thought about maybe putting a micarta handle on this one too, but I'm going to wrap it in jute. That's just my thing right now. Byron says, Bob, for what it's worth, that Fred Perrin dagger might look awesome in walnut scales with brass Chicago screws. Just saying. Yeah. I gave up on the don't give up on it. I just don't have the shop anymore. But I will eventually. And I'm staring right at those pieces of wood, and they're staring back at me. They're alternating light, dark, and they're looking at me like, you said you were going to do that last summer. It's almost the end of this summer. Doug Boal says, Bob, drill a small hole in the end, add a key ring and a key. Oh, yes. Yes, that's probably a good idea. Yeah. I said, it's for my forearms. Doug Boal says, EDC, I can definitely understand that. A lot of knife assaults there I have read. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Yep. I hope they hang that kid high, but they won't. Toyota and Tools says the Foxes are about $200 in G10 and $250 in titanium. That's not bad at all. MSRP is $300 to $350. Okay, I shouldn't say that's not bad at all, but I was thinking they were going to be like in the $400 and $450 range, similar to the ProTech. But I guess the ProTech is a smaller and American-made production, so it makes sense that it would cost a little bit more. That's good news. It's within reach. I don't need the full titanium though. I probably would like it. Dustin says, that white micarta ATCF comes in tomorrow, and God, I feel that knife itch coming on. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. Dustin, what do you mean? Knife itch. You're strange, brother. You are strange. Get help. Now, on to spikes. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I think we all know what you mean, and especially when you know you got something coming. And sometimes you'll what I never ever check tracking anymore. Pretty much almost never, unless something's taking unusually long, but that hasn't happened in a while. I don't check tracking. I just order it, and then when it shows up, I'm like, oh, it's awesome. You know, it's like a surprise, semi-surprise. You know, you kind of know, well, should be getting here in the next couple of days, but yeah. Well, I have something on the way that I can't wait to show you all. From someone who was on the show a while back. And here's a little hint. Someone who was on the show a while back, whose brother was also on the show a little bit while back further from the first one. I also own a knife from the brother. And I'm very excited about this new knife that's going to come in. It's very much in, aesthetically speaking, in part of my wheelhouse right now. Wheelhouse is not the right term. Area of interest. One of the things I watch a lot on YouTube, if I'm you know, killing time, and are Donnie Dust videos. Donnie Dust is a former Marine who was on one of the Alone shows, I think, but he's just like a primitive survival skills specialist. Cool dude, and he does a lot of flint knapping, and he makes these cool knives and axes and stuff. And so the knife I'm getting kind of has that vibe a little bit. You'll see. Dustin says, it's the normal people that scare me. Yeah, the normies. No, I like normal people. I do like normal people. What I don't like are weird people who call normal people weird. We've been hearing a lot of that recently. Craig Vincent says, Bob, a mini angle grinder, micarta sheets, Chicago screws and some 1095 arrived this week. Can you guess what I've been doing? Wink, wink. Awesome, man. That sounds awesome, Craig. Craig is working on some knives. I love it. Love hearing it. Micarta and 1095. And 1095 is from my experience, very nice to work with. I've only ever worked with two different blade steels, 1095 and AEBL, and then had them heat treated by others, of course. So there's that. And I hope to be having 3 other knives that I ground a couple of years ago, heat treated by Tim, or maybe he can help me along to find someone that can do it. Last time I had knives heat treated, it was by Alex Steingraber. And then like a year later, I was like, hey, Alex, can you do more? I know you're real busy. And he's kind of like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. It's cool. But he was offering his heat treat services to other knife makers for a while. And so I did that. So this knife, I showed you this before. This is the tier 1. I'm sorry. This is the DC Blades designed scythe. This one is super awesome. They're going to be selling this on Amazon if it's not already up. I think it might be up. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a video of this. I have a video of the original scythe, which was smaller and a high value knife with I think it was 14C or D2 and G10. Well, this one is titanium and S35 VN, and just awesome. Love this thing. And you know, you could use it for all sorts of normal chores, but it's just a great self-defense knife. If you don't know tier 1 gear reviews, you got to check out Justin. Justin is one half of DC Blades, and his designs are so cool, and they're very aggressive, and very beautiful. I mean, they're different, but they remind me a little bit of the Bastinelli designs. Just graceful, beautiful, nice designs, but extremely ergonomic and very, very useful for their purposes. This, of course, has a super neutral coffin-shaped handle, and then that terrible, terrifying, and nasty blade. AJ says, beauty. Agreed, AJ. Agreed. I'm sorry. So what was that, Craig Vincent? Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, but cutting steel sure is fun. Yeah, man, you'll get in the zone. Just remember that every piece of steel has a knife waiting to be released. Just think of it like you're Michelangelo and it's a piece of marble, and you are going to liberate the beautiful masterpiece from within. Dustin says, does that scythe have a wave? No, it does not. It do not. Could one be, I guess if you altered it and put a notch on this part of the blade, you could kind of, but then actually it would be too far up the blade, and it would I think that would be a problem, but it doesn't have that. It would be cool. I love waves. Dustin Witt, is that a custom Bob Loveless? Where? Oh, this right here? No. Oh, because I thought I brought out my. I have one custom. It's not made by Bob Loveless, but it's a sub-hilt fighter made by Matt Chase. This is a Randall-made special fighter number 16. So it's I think that's what it's called, SP number 16. So what it is, it's a number 16 handle, a Randall-made knife, number 16 handle. Yes, sir. With the number 1 fighter blade on there, the sharp swedge. They all have sharp, like everything they make has a sharp swedge, but I love this knife. Just a classic fighter. Doug Boal says, Bob, what is your preference of blade designs for self-defense? Dagger, Pikal. Those are my preferences. I like Tonto is also great. But I love double edge whenever possible. That's where the dagger or the actually I shouldn't just say dagger. I should say double edged. So in that case, that's like a fighter or a dagger. Even you're like, Bob, I said, what's your favorite shape? Not what's your favorite concept, but even a curved double edge. And this being a Tonto. So I mean, not a Tonto, this being a Pikal as well. So I guess I would say for self-defense, no training, I'd say Pikal. That's not to say that you wouldn't benefit from training with a Pikal knife, but that's just to say that a Pikal really accelerates at this motion because the edge is on the inside and the tip is down. And so it really maximizes your gross motor skills, or your gross motor motion, which is what you're using in a high stress attack situation. You know, maybe if you're Doug Markita, you're doing cool, smooth, collie flow stuff, but probably you're just going caveman. And I think, and I developed this opinion through others who know better than I, that this is probably the way to go. Probably even more than a dagger because of the straight nature of the dagger. But yes, I mean, yeah, I love the double edged. I love the hooked shape. So yeah, I guess those two. Craig Vincent says, does anyone make a double-edged Tonto? Yes. And that would be a triple-edged Tonto. Look at, he was on the show here, Andrew Farlano of Trained Monkey Blades. Look him up on Instagram, Trained Monkey Blades. Makes amazing knives, makes really cool like knives in batches for, I think his real bread and butter is making batch knives for like military groups who are like, yeah, we want a celebratory knife for passing this school with all these special handles. And you got his stuff is immaculate. It's beautiful. And he makes one called the Tyrant, I think. The Tyrant. and it's got that top edge of the Americanized Tonto sharp. So it's got that sub point. It's not a Japanese gradual belly Tonto. It's a American Tonto. So you get the two very distinct edges, and then that top edge is sharp. Of course, that top edge is not going to be a slicing sharp. It's going to be a gouging, splitting, tearing, broad cutting kind of edge. But yeah, very cool knife. You got to check them out. And I heard Dan Eastland of Dogwood Custom says every large knife has a small knife inside ready for rework if one messed up. Yes, exactly. Dan Eastland was also on the show. He's a cool dude. That guy goes out and does serious like survival stuff in like the Central American jungles. He's an interesting dude. Dustin says, if that scythe is thin enough, you can put a quick thumb stud on it. Yes, and wave it open by turning it inwards. Yes, I've accidentally waved open knives. Yes, okay. That's funny. I haven't done that with a quick thumb stud, but I've done it with the large thumb studs on the XL Voyagers. You can kind of wave them out of especially for me, my back pocket, using the tall thumb studs. Doug says, Bob, I got to scoot. Stay safe. Doug, thank you so much. And where is it? Here it is. I got to say thanks again, man. Thank you so much for this. What a generous and kind thing to do. Adding this to my collection. So thank you very much, Doug. Have a wonderful weekend, and you stay safe as well. And that's just about going to do it for us here on this fine evening. You guys have good weekends planned? I hope so. I think I do too. It's just never, we are in a point of our life where we're just not stopping. And I know there will be come a time where everything slows down and I'll say, oh, I miss the old days when we were constantly moving around. So, the grass is always greener, but try and have an awesome weekend. We're under a tornado watch right now where I am. So hopefully none of that comes to pass. If I start hearing a freight train, I'll get everyone down here in the basement. But anyway, you all stay safe. Remember, it's Thursday night, the beginning of the weekend. And I love having you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening and all of that. All right, for Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying until next time, please don't take dull for an answer.